Have you noticed life is risky? I grew up as the youngest of 4 boys in the little country of Rhodesia. We grew up next to the Shigasha River, a beautiful river full of boulders and rapids and pools. This became our playground from a very, very young age. Swimming unsupervised and naked, we challenged the very boundaries of our safety so many times. Risk-taking kind of became part of our very being. During the war years, when I served in the Zambezi Valley, I became very closely acquainted with the unique wildlife of Africa, and it became an important part of my artistic endeavors. I was once interviewed by the Safari magazine in the United States for a feature article, and one of the questions was, Kobus, do you hunt? My answer, well, I have hunted, but frankly I find it boring. That was not the answer that these hunting enthusiasts appreciated. In this video I will tell the story of one of my very high-risk encounters, which could have cost my life, but which has resulted in many paintings. It was many years ago when I was visiting one of my favorite haunts, a private game reserve in the Lowveld of South Africa, when I was on a game drive with Ian, the owner's son. And we were driving through the bush, and we came around a corner, and way up ahead of us lay a lion, beautiful black-maned lion. And he lay like a lazy cat, lays down on the ground. He was on his side, spread out, and he had a glazed look over his eyes. He was enjoying the sunlight, and he was not in the mood for any nonsense whatsoever. We stopped possibly about 100 yards away, watching this lion. His eyes weren't closed, he was opened, and he was watching us, but wasn't really interested in us. And I asked Ian, would you mind if I walked up closer? And he asked me, do you know what you're doing? And I replied, I think so, without having the faintest idea of what I was getting myself into. But I got out of the vehicle with my camera and a monopod, and I slowly started walking forward. And very slowly, almost imperceptibly, the lion started moving. His eyes opened a little wider, and he was now watching me with great suspicion, I think. He slowly pulled in his one leg underneath him, and a little later he pulled in the other, and then the hind legs, he started pulling them underneath him, and he moved over so that he now lay on his stomach, but still without any kind of aggression or anything like that. And then his face started crinkling up and a low growl emanated from the snarl on his face. And it was just, obviously the adrenaline was just incredible. I was just enjoying every moment of this because I was getting something so incredibly unique. As I walked closer and snapped another photograph and walked closer and another photograph, the growl started changing, and I could hear the change was as though the growl moved from his throat into his stomach, and his face crinkled up into a much more intimidating snarl. From my perspective, this was just wow. I was so filled with just the amazing experience that I was having. I knew that I was in danger, but I kind of pushed my luck, and I moved closer still, and the growl became very, very aggressive, and his snarl and his eyes were not now looking at me, they were looking straight through me. Another step, another photograph. I was now possibly 30, 40 yards away from him, and then his tail lifted up and it flicked down. That was the final threat, and I knew if I did not move out of the situation, it would be too late. And now I started backing off, praying that I would not trip over a rock or something, which would immediately result in a full-on charge. As I moved back towards the vehicle, he slowly relaxed, and by the time I got back to the vehicle and got in, he was again lying on his side with total relaxation, but this time his eyes did not once leave me for a moment. Was this risk worthwhile? I think it was very unwise. But out of this risk I have painted so many pictures so that I can say yes, it was worthwhile. Would I do it again? Never in my life. I sometimes get nightmares in which I relive similar situations. The nightmare always ends up with a mad, fully in charge of whatever animal I was approaching. And I would wake up in a cold sweat with my heart thumping in my chest. Taking risks create opportunities. It enables growth and it spurs creativity. This part of my character has brought me so much opportunity in my life and has contributed to whatever success I have achieved. But I must end with a deeper meaning. As a Bible-believing Christian, I have honored God in everything I do, and He gets the glory for every painting that I produce. Jesus, when He walked on earth, He was referred to as the Lamb of God, meek and mild. But after He conquered death, thereby offering us His righteousness, He is now the Lion of Judah. In spite of my life-threatening risk-taking over many years, He has protected me. I can only attribute that protection to His unfailing love and grace. Soli Deo Gloria. Only to God be the glory.